My beloved child, in this moment, I call you to pause, step away from all the noise surrounding you, and return to me, the only place where your soul will find true rest. My dear one, each day you live is not a random entry added to the timeline of your life, but a chapter in the sacred book I have written just for you, long before you ever existed on this earth. Nothing that happens in your life escapes my gaze or my design. Every thought, every step, every decision you make holds sacred significance in the journey back to the sanctified destiny I have prepared for you. In recent days, a seemingly small act of yours, one that might have felt unimportant, thus touched a spiritual boundary you were unaware of. It was not merely a worldly choice, but a turning point. And at that crossroads, you did not follow the gentle whisper I had placed in your heart as guidance. You overlooked the signs, turned your back on the tender prompting of my spirit, not because your heart is hard, but because you have grown weary, entangled in emotion, and momentarily lost your way. I do not blame you for this. On the contrary, I come to you today to remind you, it is in these very moments of confusion that I am closer to you than ever. You opened your heart to someone, to a circumstance, to an invitation that did not come from me. Your intention was not wrong. Perhaps it stemmed from a longing for comfort, for understanding, or a quick solution to the unrest within. But that very thing, if not clearly discerned, has become an open door for influences I did not send. This relationship, whether you call it friendship, collaboration, or something fleeting, carries a frequency not in harmony with my light. It is a connection born of emotion, yet sustained by concealment. This person may smile at you, encourage you, listen to you, but behind those gestures are unseen bindings, silent compromises that your soul was never created to accept. I see what you cannot see. I hear what your ears are unable to discern. Words that seem harmless have sown seeds of doubt in you. Gestures wrapped in sweetness have quietly cloaked you in a veil of deception. Not everything gentle comes from peace. Some gentleness is a disguise. My child, let me open your spiritual eyes. Let me expose what the enemy is trying to hide beneath a beautiful facade. You are standing at the threshold of a series of events which, if not cut off soon, will pull you away from the stream of blessings I have set apart for you. I do not say this to frighten you, but to awaken you. I do not condemn you, I long to rescue you, because what you are facing is not merely a decision of the heart or of society, but one with deep spiritual consequences. Understand this. In the spiritual realm, such decisions do not end with emotion. They redraw the map of destiny. They shift the direction of seasons. They either open the gates of grace or unknowingly seal the locks that invite chaos. My beloved, the enemy of your soul does not need you to renounce your faith. All he needs is a moment of distraction. A small crack in your thoughts, just enough space for him to plant confusion, unrest, and doubt. And he is taking advantage of that very opening through the connection you've recently allowed into your life. Therefore, I urge you to reflect deeply. What I bring you is not fear, but a loving warning. This is not a rebuke, but an opportunity to correct your course. Give me room in your heart, just a moment of stillness amid the noisy, and you will hear my voice resound in the depths of your soul. I have come to bring new understanding, new illumination, and a new direction. But before I can lead you any further, you must release what is holding you back. Do not cling to something just because it feels familiar. Do not protect a connection simply because you've invested your emotions into it. Truth is not determined by emotion, and light never compromises with darkness. My dear child, listen to me with an open heart, for what I'm about to say is not meant to imprison you in guilt, but to free you from the spiral of consequences quietly taking form around your life. The action you recently took, though, you may see it as small, fleeting, and unworthy of further thothas touched deeper spiritual layers than your reasoning can comprehend. Not because it is scandalous in the eyes of man, but because it marks the starting point of a series of intertwined effects between your soul and your circumstances. Sometimes it is the seemingly ordinary decisions that open doors to realms you are not spiritually prepared to enter. I have seen what you have not yet seen. I have heard the whispers behind your back words your ears have not caught. I have observed the movements of unseen forces surrounding the connection you just stepped into. You do not realize that in the very moment you agreed to that invitation, a series of gateways were opened not just emotionally, but spiritually. Each time you pour out your heart to someone I did not send, each time you lean on a thought not rooted in truth, each time you put your trust in something not built upon the foundation of light, you are not only forfeiting safety, but granting the enemy access into areas of your life. The enemy does not come with force, but with false gentleness. He does not storm in with violence, but slips in under the guise of what seems reasonable. He does not terrify with threats, but whispers through harmless-sounding words that make you question what I've spoken, that make you wonder, am I being too rigid? Am I missing out on something good just because I'm being overly cautious? But child, that is his oldest tactic, turning lies into reasonable advice. He once said to Eve, "Did God really say?" And now, in the same subtle way, he is planting doubt in your mind, twisting the very words I've spoken to you. Beloved one, the enemy knows how to use familiar faces, pleasant feelings, and beautiful imagery to disguise his true intent, to draw you out of my presence, dull your spiritual discernment, and gradually replace your faith with doubt. You won't notice it all at once. The drift happens slowly, quietly, like a boat drifting away from shore when it hasn't been anchored. You will still go to church, still pray, still sing praises, but within you, a fog begins to settle. You'll become more fragile, more easily hurt, more irritable, less at peace, and you won't know why. This inner chaos is not random. It is the result of an open gate you haven't yet recognized. I do not allow you to fall and then abandon you in the wilderness of your soul. I am the Father of mercy, the one who sees the traps laid before you and sends warnings not to condemn you, but to rescue you. Today, I am calling you to step out of that entanglement. I will not force you, but I urge you with steadfast love. I do not weigh your past against you. I place your future into my hands of grace. All you need to do is turn back, recognize, and cut off. Cut off not in anger or regret, but with holy discernment, with a firm enough that rises from a heart longing to please me more than to please others. You may fear that ending that connection will leave a void. And yes, there may be a sense of loss. You may even feel lonely for a while. But loneliness in the light is far better than 1,000 comforting words spoken in the dark. I will not leave you alone. In the very moment you choose to let go of what I have not appointed, I will begin to open doors to things you've never even dreamed of. Not a temporary substitute, but divine compensation. Not another attachment to fill the space, but my living presence filling every empty corner of your being with unshakable joy and peace that surpasses all understanding. Remember, every time you choose to obey me, you are not losing anything. You are simply removing what has blocked true blessing. I have prepared a new season for you, a season of restoration, of cleansing, of going deeper into truth. But you cannot carry old chains into the new things of heaven. Be bold and step out of that dangerous zone. Let me be your refuge, the one you run to first, the one you trust completely. When you place your trust in me rather than in unholy relationships, you will receive not only protection, but also the wisdom to never walk that path again. My beloved, what I long for from you is not just the acknowledgement of mistakes, but a genuine desire to be renewed from within. None of you are perfect, and I have never asked you to be, but I see the honesty in your heart. I feel the unrest, the internal battles you've never voiced to anyone. I know you don't want to disappoint me. I know you didn't set out to choose this path. But the truth is, whether intentional or not, your decisions are pulling you away from the stream of life, and I cannot stand by while you drift into the dark waters of the soul. What you have just gone through is not merely a personal failure, it is a sign that your spirit is running dry. I do not blame you. Instead, I open my arms wide, inviting you back to the original wellspring where you once felt me so clearly. Do you remember those moments when you sat quietly before me, saying nothing, letting my gentle presence cover you? I still yearn for those moments. I still remember each time you called out to me with your whole heart, undistracted by anything around you. Now, other voices are drowning mine out, not because I have stopped speaking, but because you have stopped listening. You've allowed your heart to become busy with too many things, nameless worries, doubts cloaked in reason, relationships you believed would strengthen you, but instead have drained your spiritual strength. That is why, today, I have come to draw you back into safe territory where your heart can be healed and renewed by my love. What matters now is not how far you've strayed, but whether you're willing to return. I do not count the number of times you've stumbled. I look only at the one moment you truly decide to rise again into the light, and that light still shines ahead of you. All I need is a heart of repentant seno, perfect, just sincere. Bring me your heart, with all its broken pieces, its scars, its signs of pain. I do not require you to heal yourself before coming to me. I am the healer. I am the one who can breathe life into what seemed long dead. I know you've tried. I know you've told yourself, if I could just be a little stronger, pray a little harder, try a little more. But my child, I never asked you to fight alone. I never placed the burden of fixing everything on your shoulders. All I've asked is that you let me into your full truth, without hiding, without pretending, without dressing it up. It is in your vulnerability that I will reveal my great strength. It is when you admit your need for me that I am allowed to do what no one else can, to heal, to restore, and to redirect. My child, there is one more thing I want you to understand. My love for you does not waver with your behavior. No matter how far you've gone, no matter whether you drifted away unintentionally or chose the wrong path knowingly, my love has never stopped. That love is not a fleeting feeling, it is an eternal covenant. I chose you not because you were perfect, but because you are mine, No one can snatch you out of my hand unless you yourself let go. And even then, I will follow. I will wait. I will hope for the day you turn back and realize that my hand has been open to you from the very beginning. You may have been deceived, drawn into things that do not belong to my kingdom, but that does not erase your true identity. You are still the one called by my name, still the one I marked even before you were formed in your mother's womb, still the one I have loved with a boundless, unconditional love. My child, I am calling you home, not only to forgive you, but to fully restore you. I don't just want to keep you from trouble. I want you to live fully in the sacred purpose for which you were created. So do not stay trapped in guilt. Don't stand still, lost in regret over what you've done. Step into the new ground I have opened before you, and let today's tears become the stream that nourishes tomorrow's seeds of faith. Risen not in your own strength, but in mine. I am here, in this very moment, waiting for you to return, waiting for you to place your hand in mine, so we can together write a new chapter, a chapter of freedom, of light, of unshakable love. After every warning from heaven comes a deep invitation into my protection, and after every fall lies the opportunity to discover a new depth of my grace. Do not let your heart be bound by the weight of failure or the fear of what's ahead. What I seek in you is not perfection, but the courage to acknowledge what is not yet right, and the faithfulness to act upon the truth once the light has revealed it. Many times in life, you will stand before doors where your choice holds impact beyond what you can see. And now, in this very moment, you are standing before such a door. What has happened? The attachment formed at the wrong time. The bond that did not originate from my will does not have to be a life sentence for your soul if you are willing to step out, ready to release what does not belong to my kingdom. That very moment will become a turning point of grace. But you must decide. I cannot cross the boundary of your will. I do not impose freedom on those who do not seek it. My rescue is always available. But the key is in your handset, is your choice. When you say, enough, when you dare to end what is wrong and step into the light, heaven begins to move, to make way for restoration. But if you keep finding reasons to hold on to what I've asked you to release, you bind yourself with chains no one else can undo. You may think it's too hard. You may fear losing the intimacy, the understanding you feel from that person. But ask yourself this: is it true intimacy, or a false bond woven out of spiritual emptiness? Are you seeking to be heard by a human while I, the one who knows even the words you haven't spoken, wait silently nearby? Are you longing to be held by an earthly hand while my arms are wide open? I do not condemn you for those desires. I'm the one who placed them within you. But what I long for is that you would learn to direct those desires toward their rightful source, Metha, one who alone can fill the void no one else can reach. My beloved, when you place your hope in something I have not established, disappointment will always follow. Not because I want you to hurt, but because those things cannot bear the weight of your soul. They will crack and the shards will wound you. But when you place your trust in me, you are building upon solid rock. I do not shift with circumstances. I am not indifferent to your tears. I do not walk away when things fall apart. And above all, I am never late. What I promise I will fulfill. But I need you to choose me. I need you to choose obedience as a burden, but as the path to true freedom, There are things in life you cannot negotiate with darkness. You cannot hold my hand and still cling to the hand of the enemy. Light cannot coexist with darkness. A right choice cannot survive alongside a wrong compromise. And the longer you hesitate in the gray zone, the more your discernment will fade. Eventually, you won't be able to tell what is real from what is counterfeit. What I am saying from what your emotions are shouting. I don't want you to live in that murky in-between. I want you to step fully into the light, where you are free from the invisible chains that have held you back for far too long. You may sense that a storm is coming. And yes, it has begun to form, but I do not tell you this to frighten you. I tell you so you can prepare. This storm is not only the consequence of past choices, it is also a necessary shaking to dislodge what does not belong to you. If you choose to hide yourself in me, the storm will not drown, it will purify you. But if you continue to avoid my words, the storm will overturn the things you thought were secure, and it will not stop until you see that there is no safer place than in the palm of my hand. Let me be your stronghold. Let me be the only voice you follow, the only light you trust, the only refuge you run to. I am not calling you to walk through this alone. I am calling you to walk with me out of the wrong bond and into a season of true blessing. If you step out, I will step in. If you surrender what is wrong, I will give what is right. If you choose obedience, I will provide covering, guidance, and unshakable peace. One of the most dangerous illusions the enemy sows into the human heart is the belief that we can handle everything on our own. He deceives you into thinking that if you just try a little harder, put in more effort, adjust your behavior, or invest more trust in a misplaced connection, everything will eventually fall into place. But, my child, that is merely a vicious cycle leading to exhaustion, discouragement, and, ultimately, brokenness. No action of yours can turn what did not come from me into something I bless. No amount of striving can sanctify a relationship I never initiated. When you cling to what I have not given, you will drain your energy, lose your peace, and even dull your spiritual vision. My beloved child, take a moment to look within. Do you see the weariness in your soul, the sleepless nights, the inner debates where you try to convince yourself that things will get better? The nameless anxieties that linger in the background, these are not signs of a healthy bond, but symptoms of the disconnect between the life you're living and the calling I've placed before you. When I am truly present in a relationship, my presence brings peace, clarity, and light. But when you're entangled in something that doesn't originate from me, you'll always sense that something is off. You'll find yourself overcompensating, stretching beyond your limits to hold together something that was never meant to last. You may find yourself bending, silencing yourself in the face of injustice, or even compromising your spiritual identity just to keep it from falling apart. Know this, I never create anything to wear you down. I do not give you relationships that pull you away from wisdom. I am the one who designed your soul with a sacred frequency, and anything that does not resonate with it will inevitably cause imbalance. Do not call it destiny when it's leading you away from the giver of life. Do not confuse deep attachment with emotional dependency, masked as intimacy. The love that truly comes from me will never leave you in constant doubt, never demand compromise, and never ask you to bury the sacred just to keep someone by your side. The enemy is always seeking to steal what I have given. He doesn't always use obvious darkness. he often disguises his schemes in false light. He may present someone who seems kind, offer advice that sounds wise, or create emotionally charged experiences to distract you from your true path. But I will not let you fall into that trap if you are willing to listen. The first warning is often a subtle unrest in your spirit, a gentle unease, a lack of peace, a sense that you're forcing something. That is my voice speaking. And if you ignore it, I will make it clearer through other signs, recurring conflicts, unexplained chaos, and a growing spiritual distance between you and me. I do not want you to live in fear, but neither do I want you to live in delusion. A storm is forming around the choice you have made, and if you do not sever it, the storm will not only shake the things around you, but also damage the most precious parts within you, your spiritual sensitivity, your inner peace, and your ability to hear my voice clearly. You will begin to doubt yourself, to question the guidance I once gave you, and eventually, to doubt even my love. That is exactly what the enemy wants. He doesn't need to steal everything. He only needs to confuse you, discourage you, and get you to quietly retreat from the path I have prepared for you. My beloved child, it's not too late. Nothing that began outside of my will is beyond being ended within my grace. I am the God of second chances, of redemption, and of plans rewritten through love and truth. You don't have to keep walking the wrong path just because you've gone too far down it. You don't need to maintain something just because you're afraid of hurting someone. Truth, when spoken in love, never wounds, and sometimes ending a misguided connection is the most loving act you can do, for yourself and for the other. I don't just want you to live, I want you to live rightly. I don't only want to keep you from trouble, I want to lead you into true blessing. My child, for that to happen, you must abandon compromise, end the ambiguity, and dare to say no to what drains your soul, so that you can say yes to the fullness of the plan I hold for you. Rise up, my child. Sever what must be severed. Turn away from the false to embrace what is true. Choose the light, even if it means walking alone for a season, because that light will lead you exactly where your heart has always belonged, into my arms. My beloved child, once you recognize what must be let go, what I invite you into next is not escape, it is authority. Too often, you've believed that you could only move forward once you felt strong enough. But the truth is, you don't have to wait for your emotions to be ready, because the power I have placed in you is not subject to your feelings. Obedience does not stem from certainty, but from trust. And trust means stepping forward, even when your knees tremble, even when your heart is unsure, so long as your soul keeps turning toward the light. I have not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. You are not helpless. You were not brought into this situation to be overwhelmed. I have equipped you with every weapon needed to push back the darkness from my word to my spirit living in you. Don't wait for someone to rescue you from the consequences you face. I have already come. Now it is you who must respond. Open your mouth and speak truth. Pray with fervor, not because I need convincing, but because your mind needs realignment. Lift your head not in pride, but in awareness. You are a child of the Most High. Do not let the whispers of the past cause you to hesitate in the present. Perhaps before, you tried to walk away from what was toxic, but turned back because of loneliness, Perhaps you tried to cut ties, but were pulled back by fear and guilt. But my beloved, this time is not like before, because this time, you don't only have awareness, you have revelation. And where there is revelation, there is power. I am not just helping you see the truth, I am helping you step out of the place that once held you captive. But you must be resolute. You must be brave. You must place your will in my hands and declare, I do not belong to bondage. I am called to live in freedom. The enemy may try to keep you trapped by stirring memories, inflating emotions, and resurrecting what once seemed beautiful. But remember, the enemy only reminds you of what you want to remember. He hides the pain, the confusion, the silent tears in the night. He shows you the surface, but I see the whole picture. The things you think might change if I just try harder are not changing because they were never built on solid ground. You were not made to live in the loop of fragile hope. You were made to live in the clarity, stability, and blessing that I give. Remember this, when you let go of what does not belong to you, you are not losing the best part of your life. You are reclaiming what was once stolen. There are blessings I have already prepared for you, but you have not been able to receive them because your hands are still holding on to the old. You must release in order to receive. You must clear the space so that I can give you the new. And what I am about to give you is not a patchwork fix, not a temporary substitute, but something eternal, a full restoration. From the inside out, from your soul to your circumstances. My beloved child, let today's act of obedience resound into eternity. I am witnessing angels being sent to dismantle the invisible chains that have held your soul captive. I see the veil of deception being torn apart. A new path is unfolding before you where you will no longer walk in confusion, but in the certainty that comes from heaven. But this will only happen when you truly turn away from what I do not bless. When you choose to walk away despite the pain, despite the loss, I will take that very loss and use it to bring forth a divine beginning. I know you fear loneliness, but know this, between a brief loneliness in the light and a long companionship in the shadows, I choose the light. And today, I invite you to choose the same. There will come a day when you look back and give thanks for your courage. A day will come when you understand that today's surrender was the worthy price for peace and holiness. There will come a day when you stand in a season of blessing and whisper to me, Lord, it was worth it. But before that day comes, you may weep. You may need to let go. You may have to walk in silence, misunderstood by others. But I understand, and I will walk with you. My dear one, when you sever the ties that bind you, when you courageously say goodbye to what I never ordained, it is not merely an outward action. It is a deep spiritual shift. In the unseen realm, barriers begin to crack, and the enemy's hidden schemes start to dissolve. The atmosphere around you is being cleansed, and the doorway to restoration is starting to open. Yet, at the threshold of freedom, you will need something more precious than gold, steadfastness. For not everyone who leaves a place of bondage fully enters the promised land. Some stop halfway looking back out of nostalgia, slowing down from weariness, or stumbling due to deception. My child, I did not design that fate for you. I know your mind may wander back to what was memories, to the emotions of cherished moments, but remember, not everything that once felt pleasant was truly good. There are things that seemed comforting, yet quietly stole your inner peace. There are beautiful memories, built on foundations that were already fractured. Do not let nostalgia pull you back into the past. The enemy knows how to use old images to blur your vision of the future I am building for you. He will whisper, "Did you leave too soon? Could it have been fixed instead of abandoned? Was that person truly bad, my child?" Recall the anxiety, the confusion, the sleepless nights. Those were real, and the reason you left still remains. True freedom is not merely the absence of physical ties, but when your mind is no longer ruled by old influences. So do not stop at an outward break. Purify your thoughts and your soul to the root. Every time an old thought returns, replace it with my truth. Let my word be the stream that continually washes your memories, healing the wounds you once buried. Boldly reject the ghosts of the past by declaring, "I no longer belong to that. I have been set free. I am a child of light, no longer dwelling in darkness." My beloved, the journey after letting go is always one marked by challenge, but also one scattered with seeds of grace. The trials do not come to stop you, they come to shape you. The early days after you release something may not be easy. You may feel empty. Doubts may creep in. But it is in that space that I am working most powerfully. When the familiar noise fades, you will hear my voice more clearly. When you are no longer pulled by past emotions, you will learn to walk by faith. And when you no longer rely on a person, an image, or a word, you will discover the fullness of satisfaction in me alone. I do not allow you to let go of something without giving you something better in return. But what I give does not always come immediately. It takes time. It requiert préparation. And above all, your heart must be ready to receive a no with impatience, but with maturity. Do not rush to fill the empty space. Do not hastily call something God's replacement simply because it arrived after a goodbye. Learn to discern. Let the silence linger a little longer if necessary. As long as in that silence, you are listening to my voice and allowing me to work. My child, those whom I choose to carry, my glory, are never called to live an easy life. They must walk through deserts, through trials, through unnamed lands, but it is there that they are formed. It is in the absence of human comfort that my presence abounds. It is in the lack of worldly support that they learn to walk with the courage that comes from heaven. It is in surrendering what the world deems precious that they discover the eternal treasure found in me. You may not see this now, but one day, as you walk further along the path, you will look back and understand, if I hadn't let go then, how could I have stepped into this goodness now? My beloved, remain steadfast and keep going, even when everything around you feels unfamiliar. Sometimes, prolonged silence is simply a sign that heaven is preparing something magnificent. When you hear nothing, when you feel nothing, do not assume that I am silent. It is precisely in those moments that I am laying the foundation for a great work. And you, yes, you are a precious stone in my hand, being shaped, being refined, being prepared for a season more glorious than you could ever imagine. Dear one, it is in the moment when you have nothing left to cling to but me that you begin to understand what the world cannot teach and man cannot give, the true value of my presence. The things you once relied on for joy, comfort, and strength, suddenly, they're gone, and you find yourself alone. But do you know this? That moment is not the end. It is the turning point from dependence on the temporary to a life rooted in the eternal. When you have nowhere else to lean, you will see, I never left. When every other arm lets go, mine remain open. Know that the emptiness you feel in the days after letting go is not a sign you made a mistake. It is a clear sign that your soul is healing, like someone detoxing from something harmful. The beginning is uncomfortable, filled with cravings and a sense of loss. But, my child, this is the sign that you are breaking free from dependency, that your emotional and spiritual systems are being reset, and I am here not to leave you to suffer alone, but to take your hand and walk you through each day. Do not fear the emptiness. Do not rush to fill it with something new unless it comes from me. Let that space be filled with my presence, with my word, and with the unfolding of the promises I have spoken over your life. Healing does not come from rushing into a replacement. It comes from allowing me to teach you how to see yourself again, how to love yourself in my light, and how to walk without needing the approval of others. As you let go of the old, I am shaping the new. You may not see it yet. Things around you may still be quiet. But this is the most critical time, just like a seed lying hidden in the soil, silently absorbing nourishment, preparing to sprout. Silence does not mean absence. Stillness does not mean I have turned away. On the contrary, it is the sign that what I am doing runs deeper than your eyes can see. My child, do not measure the success of obedience by the immediate responses of the outside world. If you let go and expect everything to become perfect right away, you will easily grow discouraged. But understand this, everything I do follows a process, not because I am delayed, but because I am precise. If you could see the whole picture, you would understand why some promises must be delayed, why certain doors must remain closed for a time, and why some preparations require patience. I am not only concerned with giving you something, I desire to give it at the time when you are ready to hold it with wisdom and mature discernment. Let this season be a time for you to go deeper in my presence. Turn silence into the sacred space where you learn to hear my voice through the noise. But through stillness, let me teach you that true peace does not come from circumstances, but from unwavering trust in me. When you learn to live with me in the secret place, you will no longer depend on external things to feel secure. As you build a strong inner life, no storm will be able to shake you. My beloved child, others may not understand your decisions. They may say you're being too extreme, too rigid, or that you've missed a valuable opportunity. But remember, what I am teaching you is not meant for the many. What I reveal is not always easy for the natural eye to accept. I have not called you to please people, but to live in a way that is pleasing to me. And obedience always comes at a cost. But that cost has never outweighed the worth of the reward I hold in my hands. This reward is not only something in the distant future. It begins now when your soul feels the relief of no longer being torn, when your heart is no longer divided between two voices, when you realize that you can stand firm without leaning on anything but me. That is true freedom. That is the power of holy surrender. That is the first fruit of a new season I am leading you, into a season where you will no longer live in the gray, no longer compromise, no longer strain to hold on to what was never yours. A season where everything within you, from your words to your actions, from your desires to your goals, will be in harmony with my will. My dear one, when you have dared to let go, endured the early days of emptiness, and begun to learn how to live unbound by what once chained your soul, then the true new chapter begins. a chapter no longer written in the tears of regret, but in the bold strokes of restored faith and courage. This is the place I long to bring you, to the place where you do not merely survive your wounds, but begin to bear fruit from the very ground that once caused you pain. The healing I am giving is not temporary. It is not a fleeting feeling. It is a process deep, steady, and powerful, so that you will never return to the place from which I have set you free. Imagine your soul as a garden. In past seasons, seeds that did not come from me were sown words filled with negativity, embraces that were counterfeit, chasas cloaked in sweet deception, and you, in your longing to be loved, your deep desire to be accepted, unknowingly allowed those seeds to take root. Some of those roots grew so deep that it seemed impossible to pull them out without causing pain. But I intervened. With the holy shears of discernment, I cut away each root, one by one. Yes, it hurt, but it was a healing pain. And now, the ground is clean. No more weeds. No more thorns. No more poisonous roots. This is the moment I begin to sow again. This is the moment you allow me to plant within you the seeds of true peace, renewed courage, and a love so secure that no one can shake it. My child, do not let your mind be entangled in the question of why. Do not keep returning to dissect each detail, trying to understand why that person acted the way they did, or waiting for an apology from a heart that never carried remorse. Those questions have no end, and every time you revisit them, you lose a piece of your present. I did not give you time so you could waste it trying to mend the past. I gave you the present so you could build the future. What matters is not the reason why someone failed to treasure you, but the unshakable truth that I, the Creator, the Almighty One, who knew you before you were formed in the womb, have never stopped cherishing you, not even for a moment. Stop searching for validation in hearts that do not listen to me. Begin instead to see yourself through my eyes. And you will see, you are still my precious treasure. Your value has never been lost. You were never cast out of my plan. My beloved, the new season I am bringing you into is not only a season of healing, it is a season of commissioning. You have passed through fire, and now you are being forged into a vessel. You have overcome trials, and now you are strong enough to lift others up. Your wounds, if placed in my hands, will become weapons against the lies that so many souls are still trapped in. I will use your very experiences to reach the ones who have no voice. You will be an echo of truth, a storyteller, not with bitter tears, but with the light of restoration. But for that to happen, you must continue moving forward. You must continue to root yourself deeply in my word. You must tend to your spiritual garden with discipline and love. Not everyone will understand what you've been through. Not everyone witnessed the silent battles you fought. But I saw them, and I not only remember them, I honor them. Every time you chose forgiveness over resentment, to keep walking instead of collapsing, to trust me rather than follow your feelings, each of those moments drew you closer to the complete version of yourself that I have destined you to become. That is a person of strength, radiant with light, carrying the voice of life, and walking not with trembling feet in the dark, but with steady steps in confidence. My child, I am leading you into the promised land, and you must keep your heart steadfast. The storm may have passed, but the opposing winds may not be completely still. The enemy may not repeat old tactics. but he will test new ways to make you doubt the path you're on. Be alert. Guard your peace like a precious treasure. Do not let anyone steal it with careless words or ambiguous actions. Do not let pity draw you back into what you bravely walked away from. Compassion is not a reason to return to a misaligned bond. True love will never cause your soul to slowly break day after day. Know this: you have come this far, not by luck, but by my guidance. So, do not stop, keep moving forward. For ahead of you lies not only peace, but destiny, not only recovery, but glory, not merely the end of something old, but the unveiling of that which is eternal. And I will walk with you fully, faithfully, never leaving your side for even a moment. My beloved, now, as you step out from the land of shadows and begin to feel the healing light shine upon the deepest parts of your soul, I want you to know this is not merely a season of recovery. It is the appointed time for you to begin entering into spiritual growth. Letting go is not the end, but a marker of sacred transformation. For I never remove anything from your hands without placing into them something better, more secure, designed to endure in holiness and eternal glory. Listen to me. A new calling is rising within you. It is no longer the call to turn back, nor merely the whisper of forgiveness. It is the call to advance, a voice both powerful and tender, inviting you to rise not as a survivor, but as one who is sent. I have seen your obedience in hidden places, where no one applauded, where no eyes watched. I have seen your perseverance when no one understood, when no one supported. And now, what were once silent tears, I am gathering to water the very path you will walk in the season to come. You are no longer bound by invisible chains. But freedom is not the end. Freedom is the beginning of a journey led by strength from on high. In freedom, you are chosen to be useful in my hands, and in this time, I am enlarging your capacity, elevating your vision, and re-establishing your spiritual mindset to align with kingdom standards. You once lived with a defensive mindset, trying to survive, avoiding pain. But now, I want you to live with a pioneering mindset, to walk not merely to avoid what is wrong, but to possess what is right, not only to survive, but to build, not only to protect, but to expand my kingdom through your very life. My child, many live without ever stepping into their true destiny because they stop at healing. They grow accustomed to comfort but hesitate when given responsibility. They long for stillness but fear being sent. Yet I did not create you just to be healed, but to become an instrument, a voice, a carrier of heaven's imprint. What you have been through is not meaningless. It is your preparation, your equipping, the very material I use to shape a spiritual leader in my way, not a leader through power or influence, but through love, humility, and absolute obedience. In this season, obedience is no longer just about turning from what is wrong. It is about saying yes to what I speak. I may call you to places where you feel unqualified. I may burden your heart for souls you've never met. I may wake you in the night, not because you are in need, but because someone else needs your intercession. And in all of this, nothing I do is in vain. I am inviting you to step into true spiritual influence, where no prayer goes unheard, and no act of obedience is silent in heaven. My beloved child, from this moment forward, every day you live will carry eternal weight if you choose to live within my will. Every decision, every word, every choice to keep your heart pure will create an impact beyond what your eyes can see. I no longer see you as someone merely in need of healing, but as someone being trained, no longer a seeker, but one who is found, no longer one needing to be carried, but one who has been strengthened to carry others. I have placed within you a resilient spiritone, not easily swayed by emotion, not subdued by pressure, and not deceived by lies disguised as kindness. You are stepping into the land of the chosen, but being chosen does not mean remaining still. It is an invitation to act, a call to rise, a covenant to no longer live just for yourself. Know this, from this moment on, what you do will not only affect your own life, but also the lives of those who will come after you. You are not only changing your future, you are paving a path for others to follow. So, walk wisely, courageously, and full of faith. I am going before you, making a way, and as you walk in step, all of heaven stands behind you. My beloved child, when I begin to train a soul for a high calling, I do not start by placing them on a stage, but by leading them into stillness. It is in solitude that the noise of the world is silenced. So, my voice within may become clear. You have walked through the season of release and healing, and now I desire not only to restore you, but to mature you. Maturity is not just knowing right from wrong, it is choosing what is right. Even when no one sees, no one affirms, and even when you yourself do not feel ready, the training I am leading you through is not like the world's methods. I do not seek sharp skill at the expense of a tender heart. I do not exalt outward wisdom if it lacks the fear of me. What I am doing is deepening your spiritual roots, so that when the winds of testing come, you will not be shaken. I am fortifying the inside before revealing the outside. For if you are elevated too soon on an unstable foundation, the glory of your calling could become a burden. But if you allow me to train you, your very presence will become heaven's answer to places still shrouded in darkness. You may feel hidden, that after all you've endured, after the brave letting go, after the faithful obedience, you should be seeing visible results by now. But remember this, you are not forgotten, you are being hidden. For preparation, precious things are never rushed into public display. They are safeguarded in secret until the day of fullness. I am refining you in the hidden place, so that when you emerge, you will not merely be a new version of yourself, but one who bears the unmistakable mark of a heavenly encounter. No more haste, no more confusion, no longer pulled by the fleeting. My child, I am teaching you how to steward what I am about to give. For calling is not just something to be received, but something to be guarded. And to guard it, you must learn discipline, not a discipline imposed from the outside, but one that flows from love for what is holy. Discipline to wake each day, not waiting for inspiration before praying. Discipline to keep your heart steady amidst temporary emotions. Discipline to not compromise when faced with tempting shortcuts. These do not come overnight. They are formed each time you say no to distraction and yes to what is eternal. And every time you choose what is right, even in the smallest things, you are adding another stroke to the masterpiece of destiny I am painting over your life. My beloved child, look back and see how far you've come. Once, you were wounded by rejection, driven by the gaze of others, restless in the search for validation. But now, though not yet perfect, Your heart is learning to stand firm without applause. You are beginning to choose silence when misunderstood, to intercede rather than complain, to recognize the value of a quiet place filled with my spirit over a noisy place without me. These are signs of maturity. These are signs that you are no longer living in reaction, but walking in divine direction. Do not take the ordinary days lightly. Do not underestimate the power of quiet faithfulness. The world celebrates what is loud and visible, but heaven records each quiet, steadfast step. Every time you persist in the small things, you are laying a foundation for greater things. Every time you obey in hiddenness, you are storing up a treasure far beyond what the eyes of man can measure. And one day, when I open the door, no one will be able to shut it. When I speak, no power will be able to resist it. But that moment will only come when you are ready within, no longer swayed by emotion, no longer moved by applause or indifference. Dear one, perhaps this season has no dazzling lights, no triumphant cheers, but it is the most important season. For this season determines who you will become in the next. Don't rush to escape it. Let me finish the work I am doing. Be patient with yourself. Be steadfast in the process. Be resolute in guarding your purity. For it is in that very perseverance that I am performing a miracle you have yet to imagine, transforming a once broken soul into one I can send, turning a once deceived spirit into a light for others, shaping a once trembling heart into a steady instrument in my hand. My beloved child, when I look at you now, I no longer see a soul entangled in confusion as before. I see one being shaped by sacred procession who did not stop in the wilderness, nor turn back to the old city when faced with trials. You are still here, even after days when tears fell without explanation. Even after nights your heart ached with loneliness. Still, you walk on. Still, you remain faithful. And that touches my heart more deeply than any grand offering. It is not brilliance, but unwavering loyalty in the unseen season that marks how you are becoming more like me with each passing day. Others may not understand why you still keep your heart pure while many around you choose compromise. They may not see why you stay in the spiritual process when you had the chance to escape. But I understand, because I am the one who planted that perseverance in you. And I am also the one using every small step you take to lay the foundation for something far greater, something that will not only affect you, but the generations to come. You do not fully grasp the impact of each quiet prayer, each rejection of falsehood, each silent yes to my calling, but heaven is recording it all. Every act of faith, every moment of loving the truth, is a stone in the temple of spiritual influence I am building in your life. My child, this is no longer a season for merely receiving healing. It is the time for you to begin giving. I do not want you to keep what you've received to yourself. I have used your past pain to awaken a new compassion within you. And now is the time for that compassion to become action. There are people around you struggling in darkness, just as you once did. They don't need a sermon, they need a living witness. They need someone who doesn't just speak of freedom, but walks in it. Not someone who merely talks about forgiveness, but someone who expresses it in every glance, every word. And you are the one I have chosen for that task. Not because you are perfect, but because you are genuine. Not because you are strong, but because you have allowed me to become your strength. My beloved, you may think you are not equipped, that you need more time, that you are not yet ready. But, my child, in my kingdom, being ready doesn't mean being without weakness. It means being willing for me to use your weakness as a testimony of grace. If you wait until you no longer feel afraid, you may never step out. But if you walk forward despite the trembling in your heart, I will meet you on that road and surround you with courage from heaven. I am not calling you to step out alone. I walk with you. I go before you, and I remain behind you to guard the fruit of every step of faith you take. From this season forward, I will place burdens on your heart, not your own. But from me, you will begin to discern more clearly what is right in the Spirit. Even when everything appears fine on the surface, you will feel a deepening longing to stand in the gap for those who cannot yet pray. You will be stirred to speak the truth, even when it risks misunderstanding. And that is the sign of one being placed among the forerunners, those who do not live by fleeting feelings, but by an eternal mission. Do not fear the great things I am placing in your heart. If I have spoken, I will fulfill it. If I have called, I will provide. If I open a way, no force can shut it. And if I have chosen you, no one can take your place in my plan. That place was tailor-made for your soul, shaped by your past, by the wounds that once bled, and by the promises you clung to through tears. No one else can walk the path marked out for your feet. That is why you are being sent, my precious child. Step forward, leave the comfort of repetition, and enter the land of commissioning. Learn to say yes daily, not only with your lips, but with the way you live. Do not despise the day of small beginnings. Do not wait until everything becomes clear. Go when I speak. Act when I prompt you. For I am not calling you merely to change yourself. I am calling you to transform the world around you, one soul at a time. One act at a time, one prayer at a time. My beloved, now that your journey is nearing the end of its preparation phase, I want you to pause, not to look back with regret, but to lift your eyes and see where you are within my divine design. It is no accident that you are still standing. It is no coincidence that after all the blows, the disappointments, and the moments you thought you couldn't rise again, you still have the heart to believe, the breath to pray, and the longing to seek me. Because from before time began, I destined you not only to live, but to walk in a purpose touched by eternity. Now, I no longer see you as someone merely on a journey of recovery. I see you as a warrior who has been forged. And unlike warriors of the world, your victory does not come from muscle or weaponry, but from the moments you chose to believe when nothing was visible, chose to pray when your heart felt empty, you chose to forgive when you had every right to be bitter. My child, know that these things are not small. On the contrary, they are the very foundation of the kingdom I am establishing within you, a kingdom unshaken by shifting winds, unmoved by the voices of man, undisturbed by temptations, wrapped in kindness. My child, do not be deceived by the silence around you. Do not mistake the absence of applause for delay. Heaven does not measure by the rhythm of the world. What I am preparing in this season is for a revelation that will come at the right time, in the right setting. When you emerge from the hidden place, you will no longer be one who seeks opportunity, but one who carries divine appointment, and that appointment will need no promotion. True light requires no introduction, it only needs to be switched on, and darkness will retreat on its own. Enter into my rest. My child, not as a stopping point, but as a foundation. Let every act of yours, whether it's the simple task of tidying a room, caring for a loved one, or interceding in the night, become an act of worship. Nothing is ordinary in the life of one indwelt by the Holy Spirit. Even your breath can become praise. Even your tears can become prayer. I want you to live every moment as though you are participating in something sacred, because you are. There is no boundary between the spiritual life and daily life when you live in me. All of it is consecrated. From this moment on, live as one who has been sent, even if no one yet sees the mission you carry. Walk as one who has been chosen, even if the door hasn't yet opened. Guard your heart as a temple, even if all around you is dust and earth. Learn to live not for the affirmation of people, but for my delight. For when you live for me, everything else will come in my way, in my time. And when the appointed time arrives, no one will be able to stop you from stepping into what I have prepared. My beloved child, when you live with the clear awareness that you are chosen, sent, and prepared for a purpose greater than yourself, every step you take becomes intentional. You will no longer be easily swayed by what is fleeting or distracted by what is meaningless. Each action, each decision, each word will be filtered through the lens of eternity. And that awareness will set you apart, not to distance you from the world in arrogance, but to make you a sacred signpost within the everyday. You will live not to impress, but to influence. You once lived in the twilight zone, sometimes burning brightly, other times fading into doubt. There were seasons when you were full of faith, but then you stepped back when no fruit seemed to come. I was patient with you through it all, because I saw in you a seed that would not surrender. Though buried and bruised, it still reached upward. And that seed, small, steady, and sincere, is now grown into a root. Now, as the season of growth arrives, I no longer want you to live as though you are still testing the waters. I want you to live as one who has been chosen, not with the heaviness of expectation, but with the ease of someone who knows that the one who called them will also be the one responsible for the outcome. My child, prepare your mind and heart, for the moment you step forward with divine conviction is also the moment the enemy will try to shake what you have received. He cannot stop the appointment from heaven, but he will attempt to sow doubt in your mind so that you disqualify yourself from the journey. He will whisper familiar questions. Who gave you the right to do this? What if you fail? Is anyone really listening to you? Maybe you're just imagining all of this. But beloved one, recognize this for what it is, an old tactic. And this time, you no longer need to react emotionally. This time, you are equipped to respond with truth. And the truth is, you did not choose yourself. I chose you. The truth is, you do not stand on reputation, talent, or accomplishments, but on my grace and my unchanging call. The truth is, you do not need to wait for others to recognize you in order to walk forward. Obedience in the secret place is already enough for heaven to affirm what you carry. So when the lies come, do not argue with them. Confront them with what I have spoken. Remind yourself that appointment is not established by feelings, but by surrender. And once my hand is upon you, no power can remove my grace from your life except your own surrender to those lies. Beloved one, the season of action is drawing near. This is not the time to delay out of fear of failure, nor is it the time to make excuses because of old limitations. This is the time to act under divine direction, not out of haste, but out of knowing that when I speak, even the waiting has purpose. Action does not mean doing something grand immediately. Sometimes it means daring to call someone and pray with them. Sometimes it means writing down what I am whispering to you and sharing it with the one who needs to hear. Sometimes it simply means walking into a room quietly, not to speak, but to carry my presence there. Each small act of obedience beats the rhythm for great doors to open. And when you live as though every moment is part of a divine assignment, you will no longer scramble to find the right time, because you yourself become the evidence that the time has come. When you are where I want you, doing what I say, with a heart soft to my voice, you will begin to see increase, not in numbers, but in depth, not in others' attention, but in the undeniable companionship of my spirit in every step, my child. When that happens, you will no longer need to promote anything. Peace itself will testify that I am at work. The stability within your spirit will be the evidence for those who are seeking truth. And you, once weak, once wounded, once feeling like you had nothing left to give, will become a doorway that leads others into eternal life. Beloved one, now, as this journey draws to a close, I want you to know that it is really the beginning of a new chapter. One, your soul has been forged to receive. What you've just walked through was not random, nor was it a string of unrelated events. Every bit of it was intentional preparation. Every trial, every tear, every time you let go of what was wrong to take hold of what was right, these were the very stones I used to build the temple of glory within you. A place where my presence can dwell without interruption, where my voice can be heard without distortion from fear or doubt. You are no longer who you were. You have changed not through outward display, but through quiet inner strength. You've learned to stand without applause. You've discovered how to find peace not by avoiding storms, but by anchoring yourself in unshakable truth. This is the spiritual maturity I have longed to see in you, and it is precisely this that makes you ready for what I am about to entrust to you. My child, in this age, where the voice of truth is being steadily stifled by a sea of noise and confusion, I am searching for those who dare to slow down long enough to truly listen, who dare to be silent in order to discern rightly, and who dare to stand up and proclaim the truth, not out of pride, but from a humility that has been forged in the fire. You are one of them, not because you are more capable than others, but because you chose not to leave the place of prayer even when everything around you felt hopeless. You stayed, and that faithfulness has not gone unnoticed by me. On the contrary, it is a sign that you are strong enough to carry what the world cannot comprehend, but what heaven is eager to release. Therefore, from this day forward, I am not calling you to live merely to be right, but to live in a way that leads. I do not need you to raise your voice for the sake of being heard, but I do need you to refuse silence when truth is being distorted. I do not need you to engage in endless debates, but I do need you to declare life through the integrity of your daily living, through quiet righteousness, through authentic compassion, and through unwavering patience in even the smallest moments. I want your life to be so clear a reflection of me that those who see you will know, without doubt, that I am still at work in this broken world. And as you live in this way, you will witness the miraculous unfold before you. Doors will open without your knocking. People will come without your seeking. Needs will be met before you even speak them aloud. Not because you are doing something extraordinary, but because your life is in perfect rhythm with my heart, Every word you speak will carry eternal weight. Every step you take will leave behind a spiritual imprint. And every day you live will serve as a living testimony that there is still a chosen people. There is still a voice that speaks truth. And there is still a love that does not waver. As the days ahead draw near, do not let success make you complacent. And do not let hardship cause your heart to faint. You are not defined by your achievements, nor are you diminished by your failures. Your identity is rooted in your relationship with Munshakable and constant. Always return to the beginning, the place where you first heard my voice, the place where you wept in my presence, the place where you chose surrender, even before you fully understood what it would cost. Do not lose sight of that place. No matter how far you go or how many lives you touch, your heart must remain grounded in that quiet sweetness where it is just you and me, and no one else. My beloved child, never forget that no one can take your place in my heart. I do not love you for what you do. I love you for who you are, made in my image, redeemed at the highest price, called by your own name, and entrusted with a unique and irreplaceable purpose in my eternal plan. Live with that awareness. Walk as one who has been sent. Love as one who knows my heart. Act as one whose steps are awaited by heaven itself. Because truly, that is the reality. The race has already begun. The torch is in your hands. The light is no longer far away. It is now blazing within you. And I, the one who called you, will be the one who keeps you to the very end. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that together we may receive the living word. Build a faith that cannot be shaken, and walk in the immeasurable love of God. Amen.